Welcome back to The Rundown. On this week's segment, we'll talk about the game of the century, a story of a Class II District 8 football championship game.
Social media superstars, two Lathrop High School students recently went viral on social media giant Tik Tok. More on that coming up shortly.
And lastly, saving habits. Some helpful tips and tricks high schoolers can use to save for college. Good afternoon. I'm Quentin Wolf.
I'm Mason Zolman.
And I'm Timmy Gaskins. Welcome back to The Rundown. We'll walk through this week's top stories. We're glad to have you with us.
This week's segment is going to be good, or fire, as the kids say these days. Am I right, Timmy?
That's right, Quinn.
We're going to kick off this week's segment by discussing Lathrop and Maryville's big 2019 district football championship game. The Mules have had a very successful run the past two seasons, with a record of 27 wins and 2 losses, with 2 conference titles, 2 district titles, 2 Final Four appearances, and 1 state appearance.
Out of all 29 games Lathrop has played these past 2 years, 1 game stands out in particular. Going into the district championship game, Maryville had a home game win streak of 67 games, which was initiated by Lathrop High School's current head coach, Chris Holt.
The Mules were down late in the fourth quarter with less than 2 minutes to go, before scoring on a 4th down, 45-yard touchdown pass, making the score 27-28, with Maryville still in the lead. The Mules then had to decide if they wanted to go for 2 and seal the win or kick the PAT and tie the game. The Mules ultimately decided to go for 2, with Blake Gordon running a quarterback draw to win the game.
Man, I can only imagine the atmosphere of the crowd when the Mules made that last play. That definitely had to be the game of the century.
We have Blake Gordon with us today to talk about the big game. Thanks so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to us today, Blake. Glad to have you with us.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
What was the team's attitude like going into this big game?
A lot of people were doubting us, and I really just thought we needed to play for each other and just play for our coaching staff, play for all our hard work that we put in, and we just really need to believe in each other and believe that we can get the job done. That's what we did.
How did you guys match up against Maryville?
We both have similar offenses. We have our coaching staff is very similar, and we both have a lot of playmakers. So really, it came down to making big plays in the biggest moments. So,
being the quarterback, were you part of the decision-making process to go for the 2-point conversion at the end of the game? If so, how did that conversation with Coach Holt play out?
Well, it's funny actually. Coach Holt, if you ask Coach Holt, he would say that it was all his decision. But as we were going down on that drive, I mentioned to him, I was like, "Hey, if we score, we need to go for 2." And he told me he was already ahead of me. So if you ask him, it was his decision. But I like to thank myself that I had a little bit of a part of it. So.
All right. Well, thanks so much for stopping by.
Yep. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Now some news on the recent TikTok craze. TikTok is a social media app launched by ByteDance in 2017, but has recently become the most downloaded app in the world, according to the Business of Apps on App Developer magazine. Last year, TikTok had over 500 million active users worldwide. The app cycles through many different trends that are made popular by users. TikTok works by allowing the user to create short videos using sound clips that are shared by and created by other TikTokers. As a user, you are able to scroll through all videos, no matter who made them, giving all TikToks the potential to go viral.
In Lathrop, we surveyed students 6th through 12th grade and found that 94% of students use or have used TikTok.
Recently, a video from a couple of Lathrop High School students went viral with over 350,000 views and over 35,000 likes, just from participating in a trend called the 1-2-look challenge. Just like every social media platform, the more popular the content is, the more hate you're going to receive. And that is evident in this case, isn't it, Quentin?
Yes, it is. Just read some of these comments. This is what the guys who don't play do during practice. Y'all built like soccer players. Coach let the kickers out early.
You hate to see young men put so much effort into a video just to be insulted and put down.
You know, guys, I personally like TikTok. I could spend hours scrolling through the wide variety of videos, and I find a lot of them entertaining.
You see, I'm not exactly TikTok's biggest fan. I find it's a huge distraction, and kids just don't focus on school or work anymore.
Well, I've actually made quite a few TikToks myself, and one got more views than the population of Lathrop. That's a whole 3,500 views. I'd say it's trending myself.
Speaking of trends, move on now to the weather.
This week's weather is going to be quite a roller coaster. Today, it's a bit of an overcast with a low of 43 and a high of 56. The weather is going to drastically change in the next 24 hours. There's a thunderstorm coming our way from the north, and we may receive 1 to 2 inches of rain. Tomorrow's low is 34 degrees with a high of 40, and in Missouri fashion, the weather's going to jump right back up after tomorrow with sunny skies and an average of 70 degrees throughout the rest of the week.
You're only going to get that kind of weather in Missouri.
It really is unpredictable, but Missouri's weather isn't the only thing that makes it unique. According to Dave Ramsey, Missouri is one of 5 states that requires a personal finance class to graduate high school, which leads us to our next story, where we'll give you some saving tips for college.
Taking a personal finance class is a great way to learn some beginner's knowledge on spending and saving habits, but here's some more specific and practical tips that you can use to prepare for college.
We recently spoke to a couple of local banks, and one of the most recommended tools is using a savings account or a CD account. Kinsey Morgan, a local bank teller, said a savings account is useful for those who want quick access to the money put away, as you can remove it freely with no cost. But the downside is it comes with interest rates as low as 0.15%.
She also mentioned a CD or certificate of deposit account, which comes with higher interest rates. That means you'll make more money as it sits in the bank. But on the downside, the money has to be in your account for a certain amount of time before you can withdraw it or you'll be penalized.
You should also always save your change, whether it's in your car or a jar in your room. This may seem like a waste of time as the amounts can be very small, but after a while of saving, it will add up to be a relatively large amount of money. We also recommend that you pay yourself first, which means putting a percentage of your profits away for savings before you spend any of the rest. We as high school students recommend saving at least 25% of your profits, but as you begin to make more money, the percentage you save should increase.
I believe that is all we have for you this week. Thank you for tuning in. We hope to see you next week. We'll give you a rundown of your local news.
Make sure you subscribe on Instagram and Snapchat for more weekly updates, and have a great week.